Welcome to this deep dive into how Claudbot actually works under the hood. Everyone talks about Claudbot as this amazing AI personal assistant you can run locally or through cloud APIs, access from your phone, and use to accomplish almost anything on your computer. But what is it really? What's the actual technology behind it? Here's the reveal. Claudbot is fundamentally a TypeScript CLI application, not a Python script, not a Next.js web app. It's a command line tool written in TypeScript that runs as a local process on your machine. It exposes a gateway server to handle connections from multiple channels, makes LLM API calls to various providers, and executes tools directly on your computer. Think of it like a Swiss Army knife that opens up to reveal all its specialized tools. Today, we're going to open it up and examine every component.
Let's start with the core. When you run Claudbot, you're starting a TypeScript process on your local machine. Think of it as typing Claudbot start in your terminal. The system boots up, initializes the gateway server, connects to your configured LLM providers, and loads all the available tools, like Telegram, Slack, WhatsApp, or even a simple command line interface. Second, it can make LLM API calls to different providers, whether you're using Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI's GPTs, or running local models. Claudbot abstracts over all of them. Third, and this is crucial, it executes tools locally. Your files, your shell, your browser, all controlled from your own machine. This is not a web application. It's not running in the cloud. The core process lives on your computer, giving you full control and privacy. Now let's follow your message through the system. Step 1. Channel adapters. When you send a message to Claudbot, whether from Telegram, WhatsApp, Slack, or the command line, that message first hits a channel adapter. Each platform has its own message format, attachments, and metadata. Telegram sends data differently than Slack. The channel adapter's job is to normalize all of this. It takes your platform-specific message, extracts any attachments, and converts everything into a standardized internal format. Think of it like multiple highways from different cities all converging into a single standardized road. The output is always the same, a clean JSON structure with your text, files, and metadata. This standardized format then flows to the next component, the gateway server. This adapter pattern is elegant because adding support for a new channel is as simple as writing a new adapter. The rest of the system doesn't need to change at all.
Step 2. The gateway server. This is the heart of Claudbot, the central coordinator for all your sessions. Here's a fascinating engineering insight. Instead of using traditional async await patterns, Claudbot uses lane-based command queues. Imagine a highway with multiple lanes. Each session gets its own dedicated lane. Tasks for session A run in lane A. Tasks for session B run in lane B. They don't interfere with each other. For low-risk, independent operations like cron jobs or background tasks, there's a special parallel lane where multiple tasks can run simultaneously. The key insight here is brilliant. Default to serial, go for parallel explicitly. Instead of asking, what do I need to lock, you ask, what's safe to parallelize? This mental shift eliminates a whole class of concurrency bugs. It's cleaner than async spaghetti, easier to reason about, and much more predictable for an AI-controlled system.
Step 3. The agent runner. This component handles several critical tasks before any LLM call happens. First, model selection. Claudbot supports multiple LLM providers with automatic fallback. If Claude is unavailable or rate limited, it can fall back to GPT-4, and from there to a local model. You never have to worry about a single point of failure. Second, API key rotation. If you have multiple API keys configured, Claudbot intelligently rotates between them, respecting cooldown periods to avoid rate limits. Third, and this is really clever, dynamic system prompt assembly. Before each call, the agent runner builds the system prompt like a puzzle. It combines available tools, relevant skills, memory context, and session history into one coherent instruction set. Finally, there's a context window guard. It monitors how much of your context window is being used. If you're approaching the limit, it can automatically compact the conversation history to make room for new information.
Step 4. The actual LLM API call. Once the system prompt is assembled, it travels to the LLM through a provider abstraction layer. This is a smart architectural choice. Whether you're calling Anthropic, OpenAI, or a local model, the interface is the same. The response streams back token by token. Instead of waiting for the complete response, Claudebot processes the output as it arrives. This makes interactions feel faster and more responsive. There's also an optional extended thinking mode. When enabled, the LLM takes extra time to reason through complex problems before responding. It's like giving the AI a moment to think deeply. The key principle here is provider agnosticism. You can switch between Claude and GPT-4 or even add new providers without changing how the rest of the system works. This flexibility is crucial for a system that needs to adapt to the rapidly evolving AI landscape. Step 5. The Agentic Loop. This is where the magic happens. When the LLM response comes back, Claudebot checks, is this a tool call? If yes, it executes the tool locally, captures the result, adds that back to the conversation, and calls the LLM again. This creates a feedback loop. LLM responds, tool executes, result is added, LLM responds again. The cycle continues until either the LLM produces a final text response with no more tool calls, or we hit the maximum turn limit of around 20 iterations. Think of it like a thermostat constantly adjusting. The LLM observes the results of its actions and decides what to do next, progressively working toward your goal. This loop is what makes Claudebot agentic. It's not just producing text, it's taking actions in the real world, observing outcomes, and adapting its strategy accordingly. Now let's talk about memory. How does Claudebot remember what you discussed yesterday or last week? The foundation is session transcripts stored as JSONL files. That's JSON lines. Each line in the file is a complete JSON object representing one event. Every user message, every tool call, every result, every assistant response gets logged as a separate line. As your conversation grows, the file grows with it. When a new conversation starts, a hook captures the previous session context. Key information is summarized and written to Markdown files. These summaries are much smaller than the full transcript, but contain the essential details. This approach is beautifully simple. No complex database setup, no external services required, just files on disk that you can read, back up, or even edit manually if needed. Simple memory equals reliable memory. It's easy to debug, easy to understand, and easy to maintain. But storing memories is only half the challenge. How do you find relevant information when you need it? Claudebot uses a hybrid approach, combining vector search and keyword search. Vector search uses SQLite with embeddings. Your memories are converted into numerical vectors that capture semantic meaning. When you search for authentication bug, it finds related concepts like user tokens or OAuth flow, even if those exact words aren't present. Keyword search uses FTS5, SQLite's full-text search. This finds exact matches. When you mention login, it finds every instance of that specific word. The genius is in combining both. Semantic matches capture the meaning behind your query. Exact matches ensure you don't miss literal references. The results merge together, giving you the best of both worlds. It's like using two fishing nets. One catches based on meaning, one catches based on words, and together they rarely miss anything important. Now, let's look at how Claudebot actually interacts with your computer. These are its claws. There are 3 execution modes. By default, tools run in a Docker sandbox, completely isolated from your main system. For more power, you can enable host mode, where it runs directly on your machine. And for remote work, it can connect to other devices via SSH. The tool categories cover everything you'd need. The execute tool runs shell commands and scripts. File system tools read, write, and edit files. Process management lets it list and control running programs. And the browser tool, powered by Playwright, navigates and interacts with websites. Of course, there's a safety layer. Sensitive actions require explicit permission. The sandbox default protects your system from accidents. Think of it like a remote control for your computer. Multiple buttons for different functions, but with safety locks on the dangerous ones. The browser tool deserves special attention because of a clever optimization, semantic snapshots. Most AI browser tools use screenshots. They take a picture of the page, send it to a vision model, and ask it to understand what's there. This works, but it's expensive. A single screenshot can be 5 megabytes and consume thousands of tokens. Claudbot takes a different approach. Instead of a screenshot, it extracts the accessibility tree, a structured representation of every interactive element on the page. A button becomes button sign in reference 1. A text field becomes text box email reference 2. The entire page is represented in just a few kilobytes of text. This is roughly 100 times cheaper than screenshots. It's faster because there's no image processing, and it's more reliable because you have direct references to each element instead of asking the AI to guess what's clickable. Think of it as seeing the skeleton of a web page instead of its skin. You lose the visual beauty, but you gain precision and efficiency.
Let's wrap up with the key engineering insights from Claudbot's architecture. 1. Default to serial. Go for parallel explicitly. This mental shift from locking to allowing makes concurrent programming much safer. 2. Lane-based queues are cleaner than async spaghetti. They're easier to reason about and debug. 3. Semantic snapshots for browser interaction are 100 times cheaper than screenshots and more reliable. 4. Hybrid search combining vector and keyword matching gives you the best of both worlds for memory retrieval. 5. Simple memory formats like JSONL and Markdown are more reliable than complex databases, easy to understand, easy to debug. The complete architecture flows from channels through adapters into the gateway server, through the agent runner to the LLM API, around the Agentic Loop, and finally, back to you. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like and subscribe. Check out openclaud.ai for more details, and thanks to Hissam Connection for the original analysis that made this video possible.